goodness. Big move Monday. Look out. A way to end the tournament.
So what's happening, people? Welcome back to the Quad Pod, sponsored by Poseidon Strength and Adidas Wrestling. Make sure you're using our discount codes at checkout and getting some really awesome gear from Adidas Wrestling, because we are now reaching the postseason. It's March, when everyone says that this is the only part of the season that they're worried about. As always, we appreciate you guys listening to myself, Robbie, Austin, and Kevin. We are at episode 50, and it's only fitting that the postseason starts with episode 50, where you need to be a tough asshole. And that's why this is the Mike Singletary episode, because he was one tough asshole playing for the Bears, was also one tough asshole coaching the Bears as well. So this is the Mike Singletary episode. We're going to get into some threats, I guess, from some CBU admin. We're going to talk about these crazy ass seeds, and we're going to talk RAF and the shit show that it was over the weekend. But first, obviously, we have to weigh in. And from my weigh in, I am going to give a shout out to all the Lehigh Valley wrestlers that are making it to the state tournament. I know we are in state tournament season for the high school wrestlers, and saw a number of tweets from Austin's high school, from my high school. Austin went to Northampton. I went to Wilson, not in the same division. Austin was big school. He's the big boys. I was certainly not. Nazareth as well, Easton. So all of the different schools back home in the Lehigh Valley, seeing a lot of some newcomers. I know I was very surprised to see, and Austin, you probably saw this too, Emmaus beating Bethlehem Catholic during the year and kind of surprising some people. So shout out to Emmaus. My best friend went there, and all the rest of the schools in the Lehigh Valley. Gotta love the wrestling in the Lehigh Valley as well as in Pennsylvania in general, when they all head to Hershey and look to claim some gold, and then head off to Chocolate World and Fuddruckers to eat a whole bunch of food as soon as the tournament is over. I'll never forget eating those 1 pound burgers the day the season ended, and every single one of us was back to our natural weights basically. And so yeah, good times back in high school. So shout out to the Lehigh Valley wrestlers and all of the state of Pennsylvania, and my alma mater also in the Division III ranks, Wilkes University, both the men's and the women's teams that are going off to the national tournament. So shout out to them. Austin, on to you.
I will continue your praise for Lehigh Valley and give my cousin Matthew a shout out. Did the damn thing again, pulled an upset or two, qualified for PIAA states for the first time. This is fresh, coming off a commitment to Elizabethtown to wrestle Division III next year. So good things coming for him. And I'll piggyback off Holmes's statement of, just good luck to all the wrestlers at states. A lot of guys wrestling their last time for their high school, and it's a big moment there. Another shout out to my daughter Nova, had her second birthday yesterday. So happy birthday, little girl, love you. And that's it. Quick one for me today.
Nice. Yeah, happy birthday, happy second birthday, and a happy dad anniversary. There you go.
There you go. Thank you.
Robbie, on to you.
Sticking the D3 ranks, and let's give a shout out to my guy Nate Yetzer at Roanoke. Had a hell of a weekend. Qualified 9 guys from Region 4 to the NCAA tournament. Won Coach of the Year for the region again. Blake Rosenbaum, Colin Girardi won Assistant Coaches of the Year. Awesome things happening in Roanoke. Nate's done a hell of a job building that program up in a very short period of time, and they're doing big things. And they already won the national duels, and they're certainly in a good position, bringing 9 to nationals. With I think Wartburg and Augsburg both got 10. So it's going to be a battle for the championship this year. So congratulations to them. Best of luck in the next step.
Claunch.
All right. A couple things. One, Going back to our partners, Adidas Wrestling, they have a new catalog of their shoes that are going to be dropping in this spring on their website. So check those out. I am very excited that they've got lace cover shoes coming back because those are fun. Also, wanted to shout out Andrew Alirez. I'm rocking my Northern Colorado shirt right here. It was just fun to see him back wrestling. I mean, a national champion, the dude. I mean, even when he was in high school, was beating senior level dudes in freestyle, and I'm really excited to see him healthy and back on the mat and competing. And even if it was against Bryce Meredith, who is another one of my favorites, it was good to see both those guys out there. And a healthy Alirez is a dangerous dude coming up for the next World Championship cycle and potentially in the Olympics. I would assume that's kind of what his goal would be at this point. So shout out to him. Also, shout out to Mitch Hancock, Central Michigan grad, 4th state championship in a row for Detroit Catholic Central as a team. That's really good. It also ties his record. I think he had done it 13, 14, 15, 16 or something like that as well. So, I mean, that dude just, ever since he took over his alma mater there, has been absolutely kicking ass. And of course, wanted to shout out Bobby Douglas, rest in peace to the legend himself. I read this Bobby Douglas book by Craig Sesker back in the day. It's a great read, but a couple of highlights that I enjoyed. One of which was he at one point told Cale Sanderson that if he does 50 pull-ups a day, he'll be an Olympic champion. Simple as that. And it worked. Because Cale just believed him and was like, I guess that's what I'll do now from now on. Another one, and I saved the spot in the book because I wanted to make sure I could read it specifically. Here it is. Sanderson recalls a conversation he had with Douglas during his senior year. If you want the pressure to go away, the pressure about going undefeated, Douglas told his star pupil, all you have to do is lose. You created the pressure. Now you have to deal with it. So, yeah, I just love it. The perspective of like, look, dude, just lose. If you just lose, the pressure's gone and you don't have to deal with it. And Cale was like, I mean, F that. Like, I'm not going to lose. I'm just going to keep beating everyone. So anyway, that was pretty cool. Another fun story. I don't think this was in the book, but one of my favorite Bobby Douglas stories was from Zeke Jones talking about his recruiting trip, where basically Bobby Douglas just came over to their house in Ann Arbor, and just hit it off with his parents and his dad and was just up hanging out and drinking beers with them basically all night. And Zeke went to bed. But like Zeke got up in the morning and Coach Douglas was asleep on his couch, just stayed the night hanging out with the family. So, but by all accounts, and all jokes aside, Bobby Douglas was an awesome dude and obviously a trailblazer in a time when it was tough for him to be able to compete. And you know, get the same sort of opportunities as everyone else. So Trailblazer as an athlete and as a coach, and obviously has a lasting impact, not just with Cale, but Joe Heskett and Chris Bono and the Paulsons. And I mean, everything from his time at Arizona State all the way through Iowa State. So lost a legend of the sport, but awesome guy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very sad to hear about that. Obviously, as you said, trailblazer in the sport of wrestling, and you know, made it possible for so many people that came behind him to have opportunities. You know, and it sucks to see him go, but he definitely lost it. It left a legacy on the sport and a huge impact, not just on wrestling but on the world itself. Right. So, shout out to his family. You know, obviously prayers to his family and everybody else and every life that he touched, right? He gave us in some of those awesome stories and some of those awesome quotes of just lose if you'll lose the pressure. But, you know, there's not much you can say about a legend like Bobby Douglas.
And he made it cool to wear fanny packs.
Dude loves
He certainly
fanny packs.
did. And they're coming back.
Mm-hmm.
They're definitely coming back. Now, you know, we're going to turn the page to some admins at CBU, Cal Baptist. You know, you can't help, after talking about Bobby Douglas, you can't help but think, you know, what would he have thought about this conversation that was obviously secretly filmed. This wasn't something, I mean, this is obviously a phone under the table, hiding the recording kind of a thing, and we became privy to what this conversation was and how it went. And I don't even know how to truly explain it. It's just shitty. To say that you can have a voice and you can stand up for yourself or whatever. And before anybody jumps in, I get it. And by anybody jumps in in the comments, because I know that's what everybody does. You listen to one snippet and you respond to it. I understand that the administration essentially is in charge. I understand that completely. But when you have a conversation about being able to have a voice and do these things, and then mostly because of the traction that they were getting, my thought is that they didn't, as most do, they don't think these things through about fan bases or really know much about wrestling fan bases. Because when it happened with Stanford, obviously, the things that followed with Shane Griffith and, him wearing a black singlet and going on to win a national title, like all of those things it was an underestimation from Stanford. And I believe that the CBU admins, another underestimation of how the wrestling community responds. Now, as we've said on this show before, we should already be supporting these conferences and these teams, which is why we do not just speak about the Big 10 and the Big 12 on this show. We make sure that we are talking about some of the conferences that people don't pay as much attention to. It is a literal conscious effort for us to do that because we want to make sure that all these conferences have shine. Right? We got a comment a couple weeks ago about all we need on this show is the SoCon, and Claunch dug in almost immediately and was already talking about the SoCon a week later, as were the rest of us. So we want to make sure that, at least we can speak for ourselves on this show, that we want to support all these other conferences and all these other teams. With that being said, the backlash is ultimately what pushed these admins to say, you have to wear the singlets that we bought. You can no longer wear the, keep CBU wrestling shirts, right? Keep this. You can't wear this. You can't do that, for them to put up these restrictions because they were getting backlash, because they were getting more attention than they bargained for. And now they have people who I guarantee you have never traveled for a wrestling dual meet or match or anything else. Now they want to travel to police these things. And I'm gonna tell you like this, God help those admin when they go to the conference tournament, because now the fans know why you're there, and you're not there to support them. You're there to stop them from doing what they were doing. You're not there in good faith at all. And people are going to say some shit to you. It's going to happen. It's inevitable that they are going to see you, unless you are completely secluded from everyone. You're going to be seen by wrestling fans, and wrestling fans, as we've seen, are very different than fans from other sports. This conversation in and of itself was really horrible. I loved how the wrestlers said, why don't we just go ask the fans? And knowing that that was also a bad idea for the admin, they stood in front of them and said, no, we don't want to do that. We want you to make the decision. And it's like, well, when you corner us and then we jump back up and, essentially become offensive, now there's a problem. Now you want to throw more weight around. So I don't know. I mean, in and of itself, there really isn't anything good to say about this. Again, I understand that it is the administration and essentially they hold the power for the most part in this dynamic. But the wrestlers doing what they did in saying, well, we want a voice. Why don't we go ask the fans? Because they've come out to support us. That is the amazing part of this entire conversation. Claunch, I want to come to you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the despicable nature of what that whole thing was about is is awful. It's really tough in a position like this because I guess first of all, the main message I want to make sure is out there is, I mean, keep fighting, keep doing anything you can possibly do to fight, right? Whether, you know, it's against the administration, whether it's, you know, you can wear different shirts, whether you, I mean, just because who's going to stop them when it's actually like at NCAA's and you're wearing whatever singlet you want to wear? Are they going to come pull you off the mat? Not a chance. Not a chance. Are they going to come pull you off the mat at Big 12s? Not a chance. They're not going to do it. So I say keep fighting and keep doing those things anyway. At the end of the day, I'm you know, I could have a profanity-laced tirade about how that guy's a tiny dick piece of shit. But I won't do that because I'm a bigger man than that. I'm going to focus on the coaches and the athletes and the alumni and the student body there at Cal Baptist and how I'm sure they're equally as disappointed as everybody else that saw that video. And it just sucks because all I want is those coaches and those athletes to have opportunities, and they're going to have opportunities after Cal Baptist. They seem hell bent on this program being gone, which begs the question: why do you care so much if they what singlets they want to wear, what shirts they want to wear? They're going to be gone in a couple of months anyway. You don't care about them, so don't pretend like this is some affront to you. You know. The other thing, and like, you know, certainly like, oh, the administration from the top is sending this guy in to go deliver this message or whatever. It's not really his fault. And I get that to an extent. And I've kind of thought that through. And I'm like, no, you know what? That guy didn't know he was being recorded. That guy did not know he was that this was going to get out there. That guy just showed up with an agenda and delivered it in one of the most unprofessional and shitty manipulative ways possible. I think Robbie in our text message, you know, our group chat, you'd said like they're literally doing this the worst possible way. This is like a master class on how to screw this situation up. And you know, I'm glad Barstool picked up the story. I'm glad it's getting out there in as many ways as possible because at the end of the day, the coaches and the athletes, however they want to continue their careers in this sport, they're going to find a place to do it. And I at this point, maybe this is petty and small of me, but I hope it's not at Cal Baptist. I hope the program's gone and they can go find somewhere else to be because clearly they're not wanted. And so, you know, it's tough. It's tough when that happens. And it's hard to kind of feel like you're running the white flag up at this point. But at the same time, it's like, man, you can't, I don't know what else they could possibly do except get the support that they've done in this manner and to be just disrespected and told so and flat out told like you have to wear this or you're gone. You're not going to do this. It's just so terrible. So terrible. Like go somewhere where you're appreciated and respected.
Yeah. Robbie?
Well, it's the whole situation has been weird with the way they've handled it. I mean, from the get-go, they've been very upfront that, you know, the line is drawn. They're not changing their mind. It doesn't matter how much money you raise, and they've raised millions already. Like they've just been, I don't know, just dickish about the whole thing. Like the way it's like, it's a horrible situation for these guys. You did it mid-season, you know, right before they're starting to make a postseason run, and you've done nothing but handle it unprofessionally and with no tact at all. Like this guy didn't know he was being recorded in this situation, and he had an opportunity to kind of bridge the gap with some of these athletes who are struggling, right? Their opportunities being taken away. They're losing their schooling. If they want to keep wrestling, they have to go somewhere else. If they want to stay at that school, they can't wrestle anymore. This is a life-changing event for these young men, and this guy comes in here and acts like a complete about the whole thing, and there's no reason for it. Like you can handle this without being an asshole. You can communicate these things professionally, like I just did, right? You can communicate these things without being an ass about it and without disparaging these kids and taking their voice away. What does it matter at this point? You're saying they're not going to bring the program back. It doesn't matter what they do. So what does it matter to you if they're not wearing, you know, the school issued uniform? Like what are you gaining out of that? What are you gaining out of the visibility of them wearing the uniform that you're not going to have anymore because you're canceling the sport? It's just none of it makes sense to me. And like as far as what Stanford did wearing the black singlets, like if they're going to make them wear the singlet, I would say 99% of all singlets right now are sublimated, so the inside of it's white, right? So why not turn it inside out and write a message? Right, still wearing their singlet, still has their logo on it, just change it up a little bit.
Yeah. Austin, I want to come to you next, and I also want to kind of add on to it because you cover the EIWA and the Ivy, and you kind of have the best of both worlds with the current Penn coach who was an administrator before and is now their head coach. Did you see what Valenti had to say? And like he commented on how they handled it, and he spoke about it from both lenses. What did you make of that? But then obviously, what did you make of the whole situation?
Yeah, I thought his insight was great too. I was going to actually bring that up. Just him coming from the administrative side. I think he was coaching for 4 or 5 years, went to administration side for like 8 or 9 years. So he has a great feel for what that lifestyle is like and how to interact with athletes. And obviously, Penn is a little bit different than Cal Baptist, in that regard. But obviously, did a hell of a job, sticking to the kids and administration. Everyone there loved them. Kind of got I'll call it promotion, whatever, to be the head coach now. So yeah, I thought what he said was great. I don't have the tweet pulled up here, but essentially he said, this is the worst way to do it. This is terrible, and it's bad PR for future student athletes coming in that we're thinking about coming to school. And you guys mentioned it too with Bro Bible picked it up, Barstool. That's a lot of eyes on something like that, and people watching that video, it's going to leave a stain on that administration forever. And I think the way that they're handling it is obviously there was no good factual reasoning behind dropping this program, right? It's tough decisions have to be made. I get that. We all get that. It happens in wrestling. But if they were able to speak and be transparent about it, like, hey, here are the reasons. Financials are X, Y, Z, and you guys are here, and this, whatever the reason is. But just could not let them have a voice is, I'll say it too, it's a little un-American, right? We have the freedom to voice our opinion. We have the freedom to protest, whatever you want to say. And, and these guys aren't allowed to do that representing the school. And, when the administration comes down and says, oh, because we said so, it's like, well, you're not treating them like adults. You're kind of treating them like kids. And, it's kind of shameful that way. Cause that's kind of how my wife and I talk to our kids sometimes, and they're 2 and 3. It's like, oh, because we said so. They don't know any better. But these guys are adults. Treat them like adults. Have the conversation with them. It's really short-sighted. It's just ugly all around, I think.
Well, there's a big difference.
To represent the university, and they're going to go off and represent the university and not want to. They're just basically going to say, "I have a degree from college." You know what I mean? Like they're not going to be good representations of the university. And the one thing that I thought was really funny was you're talking about how you want them to wear the singlets, and he specifically said, we paid for the singlets and we want you to wear them. He started talking about money, but then and that was the funny part about it was how can you discuss money and the things that you paid for, but then you can out the other side of your mouth say that we're cutting wrestling and it's not for financial reasons. You can't use financial reasons as an issue when it suits you. I'm sorry. Like it's hypocritical. And like when he said that, I was like, but it's not about money. So who the hell cares if you paid for them?
Yeah. There's a big difference between reasons and excuses, right? And whatever excuses they're leaning into to just say like, it's gone. It's just gone. It's not about money, but it's gone, and it's going to be gone forever. And wear the singlets though, because we bought them. So wear them. And nope, don't. I'm going to call the president. I'm going to call him right now. Don't make me do it. It's like, God, what a coward.
Yeah,
just I can't believe it. It just makes me so angry. And but again, move on, get out of there.
Yeah, it says a lot about the leadership if that's how they are addressing their student athletes in private. and that's the respect that they're showing them, and that's disappointing, for especially for a school that's purporting to have these values and be a private Christian institution, doesn't really espouse the values that you're saying you want.
Yeah. And I don't even, obviously Pyle's got a ton of backlash for the things that he said on Twitter about this whole situation. I don't even want to get into it. But like, I'll be honest, like initially I was like, hey, you're right. Like we shouldn't be bullying the guy that was just doing his job and relaying a message. But then I was like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
You could have come into this room and not been a complete piece of shit. You could have come into this room and had an actual conversation with other grown adults instead of just trying to assert your power and act like the other parent and say, wait till your father gets home, or wait till the president is on the phone. He's going to call this in 5 minutes. Like,
dude, if you don't know you're being recorded, you just go in there and say, hey guys, like this sucks. It's a bad position that I'm in right now. I don't want to have to deliver this message, but here's the situation. You have to wear these singlets. It's coming from the top down. I understand how disappointed it is to not have your voice and not be able to, have your saying this. But the reality is, if you don't do it, we can't let you out there, right? And it sucks. And I understand it too. I would be frustrated as well. It's just weighing whether you want to wrestle here in this situation versus not, and that's kind of how it is, right? Like that's a way that he could have chosen to deliver that message, but he basically was like, "All right, children, sit down, put your singlet on.
Sit down. I'm going to tell you what to do."
Yeah, we're going to wrestling. Put your singlet on now.
Yeah, it was pretty pathetic.
Not that one. The other one I bought you.
Yeah. Put it on, or it's a timeout.
Yeah, just have a conversation like real adults, man. Like not somebody who's just trying to wield your power over other people, and that's truly what that conversation is. And not knowing that you were being recorded means that you were your true self in that entire conversation. You
and I
fully were.
I get saying, don't blame the messenger. It's not his choice. I understand that, and that's fine, all well and good. But, there's something to be said about the way you deliver a message being important and carrying weight. And, if they already raised $1 million plus, this is just going to fire up the base more. If nothing else, hopefully it helps these kids land on their feet somewhere else. But
And credit to all those athletes. And my apologies, I don't have the name of the athlete who tweeted out his own response after the fact.
Yeah, that was really well done.
They all did an exceptional job of maintaining their composure and being very professional in a very unprofessional environment. And yeah, more power to those people. They're gonna land on their feet just fine in life. So
yeah, and just the administration, I think they really shot themselves in the foot with the other teams that were not cut, right? I'm on their website. They have 19 sports. I think they cut 3, so they're down to 16. What are those other 16 coaches and athletes thinking? Like, oh, is this how they just don't give a shit about their athletes? Is this how are we next? And they're just not going to care? Like, that's a sour relationship that could last for however long these guys are there. It's not a good start.
They'll care if you don't wear the right uniform.
Yeah. Well, and the guy who delivered that message, apparently his phone number was taken down from the website. So that's also everyone else's is there except him. So I think backlash is working, I guess you could say.
Yeah. I mean, if you are going to call that guy, I hope that you have a better demeanor than he did, but also, karma.
Probably better than mine too.
Yeah, but we can bleep yours out.
That's fair.
Not the first time. It is what it is, though. I'm honestly really hope that these coaches and wrestlers get a second chance somewhere else. I mean, I know some of them are graduating, so they'll be going off into whatever walk of life that they plan to. But these other wrestlers, I hope that they certainly get second chances going to other schools, and hopefully these coaches also get picked up and are able to continue coaching as well. But until the end of the season, we won't really know. But again, I'm very anxious to see how these administrators are greeted at Big 12s. Not to say that they should be greeted with fury or anything else. I'm not condoning any of that. But what I'm saying is if they don't like people having their own voice, they're really going to hate it after Big 12s. But anyway, let's talk wrestling. And since we're already talking about the Big 12, let's go into the Big 12 seeds. We'll get to the Big 10 seeds. I know everybody's up in arms about those, but
Why?
we're already talking about Big 12. So let's go Big 12 and we'll get to Big 10. There's certainly something weird about a lot of these, like a lot of the seeds, no matter what conference you're talking about. Robbie doesn't want to talk about the Big 12. He just wants to wait for the ACC. That's why he's getting up and walking away right now. But the Big 12 seeds, I mean, obviously there weren't as many people going crazy over them on Twitter because the Big 10 is always going to get the lion's share of, pun intended, the lion's share of all of that, right? Of all the attention. But the Big 12 seeds had a couple of head scratchers, and we're probably going to jump around a little bit. And I want to jump to 184 and bring Claunch in, because before we jumped on, Claunch said, "How the hell is Isaac Dean the 7 seed?" So I wanna let Claunch dig in a little bit more on 184 and his thoughts around Isaac Dean getting the 7 seed.
Yeah, I mean, am I right in remembering that he's returning All-American? He transferred from Ryder, right?
Isaac Dean, yeah.
Yeah.
No, not all American. Round of
Not-
16.
He was around
Was he?
16, but he
Okay.
did transfer.
Yeah, transferred from Ryder, was still a badass. Is 14-5 on the year, wrestling really well. Okay, so that's Nick Fox is the 5 seed. He's ranked 21st. He's 9-3. I just don't understand it. I mean, I guess I'd have to look back to see if there was how that happened.
I mean, Claunch, I'm looking at Dean's wrestle stat. His best win against guys in the bracket is it Breno from North Dakota State? Olin Hop, and those guys are ranked behind him. He has losses to Soldano and Nietenbach.
Yeah,
so if you're just comparing guys in the conference, I guess 7 makes sense, but you'd think he's way higher than that.
I would, and I maintain he probably still should be. I mean, Nietenbach's the 3 seed, and Soldano. God, how did he lose to Soldano? I guess if you haven't wrestled Soldano before, he's got that weird throw thing that he does. But
yeah, he's funky.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I think, and this is going to be the theme of a lot of talking about this. And I know the Big Tens were way worse as far as how they're set up. It's just there just seems to be. This seems to be way more difficult than it should be. 7, it looks wrong, and when Isaac Dean is your 7 seed, there's something wrong with it. There's something that needs to be fixed. It needs to be adjusted and put into a different situation. I don't care about Sinclair at the 1, Zach Ryder at the 2, Nietenbach at the 3. I don't even care about Ian Bush at the 4, although maybe I should.
Probably
16-9. That seems like a lot of losses for a dude. Yeah, I don't like that. Now I see the problem. Ian Bush.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just more convoluted and messed up than I realized as far as that level. But I don't understand how that happens.
I agree with you though. Like, and honestly, I'll be the first to say it's probably the eye test of why we're like, that just doesn't look right. Like, it just doesn't. Some things just don't pass the smell test, and I feel like that's one of them. I'm not gonna sit here and go through wins, losses, all this other stuff. I think it's just pure shock value of like seeing some of these seeds, and you're like, that just can't make sense, right? Like, does it? It just can't make sense, and that's one of them. But like, even looking at these brackets and seeing how some guys don't have like a record in here. Some teams are only using like their conference record. I mean, Arizona State doesn't add. I don't think they added in records for any of them. And like Kale Valencia is 0-0. He's the 8 seed at 174. Like things are just like Jared Sima 3-3. Like, can we have some consistency throughout these brackets of putting in records and making sure that all the information is in there on top of getting the seeds correct as well. And forgive me, I was busy at work all day, so I didn't get a chance to truly look through every single one of these things. Are there any others that caught your guys' eye in the Big 12 and had you thinking like, what the hell?
Most of these aren't too bad, honestly. Like, we were going to get to the Big Tens because that's just an absolute shit show. Yeah. But for the most part, Big 12s, I mean, they look pretty good. Jax Forrest, the number 1, Evan Frost, 2. Makes sense. Kyler Larkin's in there. 133 is going to be fun for the Big 12.
Yeah. I think my only issue is it didn't seem like they were consistent in the way they treated guys who didn't who either were out for a while or didn't wrestle a full slate of conference matches. It seemed like it was kind of more pick and choose where those guys went, rather than what we're seeing in the Big Ten, where they were clearly punished for not having those matches. So I don't know. It's just, I mean, we'll talk about it more, but it would be nice if there were some sort of consistency amongst, it's kind of the theme of the year. Just we would like consistency so we know what to expect for things.
Yeah, insert that phrase in any episode, really.
Yeah. I mean, it just, when every single tournament is seeded completely differently for seemingly unknown reasons, like it's a wrestling tournament, it's a conference tournament, there should be some pretty standard things that we're working off of, but everybody has their different interpretations and different way of doing it, and it makes it not line up, and that's frustrating.
Yeah, that is for sure. I think we can move to the Big Ten. I know that most people are listening to this to hear the Big Ten, thoughts around the Big Ten seeds. I'm gonna jump to 133 because it's, yes, splitting hairs. It is what it is. I think that Lucas Bird should be the number 1 seed. I get it. I know that on paper, when, results based is what they should all be. And Marcus Blaze should be the 1 seed from that regard of this season, who he's beaten and where he should be at. But you also have a returning NCAA champion in your bracket who's undefeated.
Right.
So for me, that is the overall kind of trump card of all of these things. You have a returning champion, NCAA champion in your bracket who's undefeated. You haven't beaten him yet. You should be behind him. But again, like I said, I understand the formula of this one. I guess we should dig a little bit deeper in that, right? Because the Big Ten and all these other conferences use different formulas from, conference to conference. They're all very different. And obviously the Big Ten one is the one that everybody has been talking about. The way I understand it is it's, probably a certain amount of points, and for beating certain guys, you get a certain amount of points, and then, you're slotted in based off your high score, I guess I should say. But yeah, I don't like it. I don't think that Bird should be the 2. I think Bird should be the 1 because he is an undefeated returning national champion, as well as Big Ten champion. So, I mean, I don't know. It's tough for me to say that Blaze should be the 1 based on that, but I understand why he is. I'm not saying that I don't get it.
It's 19 matches to 17 matches. He wrestled everybody being Bird that he put that was in front of him, and he beat all of them. And I think that, I mean, this isn't a Hodge Trophy conversation where we're arguing about, previous year's credentials and those sorts of things. Like, he started the year number one because he beat everyone last year. So, like, why are we making this more complicated than it needs to be? Like, I just, and whatever the point system is, like, oh, well, they use this system. Oh, you mean the system that they just made up? It's a brand new system. It's all arbitrary points assigned to whatever the hell they decided they were going to assign points to. And then clearly, that's the thing. If you're going to come up with a system and then you run it and then you get these results, you go, well, clearly that didn't work. This system, this point system sucks. We can't, don't tell anyone about this. Don't publish this. We clearly have to start over, because we're going to eat shit for putting out this bogus, and it's not just 133. I mean, it's up and down. This thing is a mess, but yeah. I mean, I love Sean Spital. All right. Former Chippewa, transferred to Northwestern for his last year here. In what world is Sean Spital the 7 seed above Braxton Brown? Who do you think would win that match? How about that criteria? I assigned 69 points to Braxton Brown.
Nice.
I don't understand how this works, and I don't like it, and clearly it doesn't work. So that's my 2 cents.
And here's the thing is also, let's also just throw this out. And I saw a couple of people like, everybody's going crazy. They're pre-seeds. They can change. Yes, these are pre-seeds and they can change. But shout out to Kozak for saying that pre-seeds can change if the people you're moving are within 15 points of each other, I believe is what he said. I'll take the man on his word because he usually has a pretty damn good understanding of things. That also, in and of itself, is why I'm like, okay, well, what are the points? What is the system? What is the format? Let us know. Give us something, right? Like, I've never been the what's the seeding criteria and formula and this and that. Like, it's never been my thing. I'm about the action on the mat and what is happening and what is the result and all that stuff. That has always been me. But when things, again, don't pass that look or smell test, you're like, okay, well, how the hell did you get to this determination? Because it doesn't make any freaking sense. So that's where I'm at on it. You forced me into being that guy of like, what the hell is the criteria? What is the formula that, and how did you get here?
So it's based out of I'm reading this now of their structure. It's based out of 100 points.
Where is this written?
This is from the Big Ten. This was a slide that was a screen that was shown during the Big Ten pre-seed show that they did. And apparently there's a video of Shane explaining it, but I haven't listened to that yet. It's based on WrestleStats tournament seeder, not based off of their general algorithm, which is completely different than what we see for the seeds that were given. There's 100 total points that every wrestler is ranked off of. 25 points for head-to-head versus the field, up to 25 points for head-to-head versus the field, up to 25 points for common opponent record, up to 20 points for conference dual record, 10 points for quality matches, 10 points for RPI, 5 points for coaches ranking, 5 points for conference allocation. But it doesn't explain how they get any of those points. Like, is it you get 25 if you're undefeated against the field? Do you get 10 points for having the highest RPI? Do you get, I don't know. I would like it like a breakdown of what the actual points are so we can try to get an understanding of how any of it actually works, because you can throw these out there, but that doesn't mean anything. Like, this is how you built your algorithm. Got it. There's something to be said for having a formula and sticking to that. But there's also something to be said for using common sense and, the eye test being a real thing.
I agree with that.
Having a red singlet, 7,000 points.
Yeah, I
Adidas
think,
shoes, 4 million points.
and like we said, it is seeding. Do wrestlers really care? Do coaches really care? Maybe not as much as we like them as we may think, but
I mean,
I think,
Kale said it doesn't make sense. If
he did.
Kale's responding to seeds, a man that is unbothered by basically everything.
That's a
And most of
great
his
point.
are one seeds.
Yeah.
Except for one that
Here's
doesn't make
your
any damn
sign.
sense at all.
And I saw something about, I think it was Kozak who said it looks like Haynes got the second seed because he didn't wrestle people in the field, meaning the starters, which that's not Levi's fault if he's out there and these other guys are either hurt, not taking the mat. That shouldn't be his fault.
Right. So he's getting punished for teams not wrestling their starter.
That's the same. That's the same thing that happened with Bird because Illinois wrestled Lehigh, but he didn't get to wrestle Crookham.
Exactly. Yeah. So I've had his thought experiment too, and I don't know if it's good or bad, just going off the top of my head here, but like, why doesn't the team at the weight class get points and not the individual? If a guy's hurt and a backup wrestles, those points should get towards seeding. So at the end of the year, it's, Maryland's 149 pounder earned this many points based on whoever they started in the conference matches. Who's that going to be? Oh, it's Carter Young. Great. We'll throw him in there. I think when you start looking at individual results, sometimes these things can get wonky. There's obviously probably a lot of downsides to that I'm not thinking of, but this would be one way to eliminate some of this. Oh, he's ducking, or he's hurt, so he got a bad seed. Like if there's a good quality backup in there and he keeps winning, I think that school should earn that seeding spot, not necessarily the individual wrestler. Again, probably more downsides than positives, but could be one way around that. And you get guys that are unfortunately hurt. Brandon Cannon, number 1 guy in the country, number 7 seed. You look at that and you're like, well, who's ahead of him here? Okay. Charlie Millard, they had a pretty good match. Catcherbone's pretty good. Anthony White of Rutgers. I mean, is Cannon better than that guy? Probably. Webster. Definitely. It's like you look at these things, you bring, like you said before, the eye test. Just some of these things just don't look right, and first time doing this new WrestleStat formula that they've used, and they just kind of aired out the pre-seeds on the Big Ten Network show, and everyone's up in arms. Like maybe they should have looked at these beforehand and made some adjustments before going public, because they kind of
soft launch would have been good here.
They should have expected the backlash, and we had this in the EIWA. I told you guys before with, I think it was 2023. They had a new system, and Yanni, 3-time NCAA champ, 2 seed after he was undefeated for the year, and again, it's the formula everyone agreed to. It is what it is, but sometimes you just got to have a little more common sense and, make these adjustments before they go public, because you're just going to get backlash like this.
Well, just to go, Brandon Cannon's beaten Charlie Millard twice, including once when he got injured. And it's like we should probably put Millard above him, right? No, you should not.
Exactly. Yeah.
No is the answer to that. You cannot justify it. So it sucks. And I mean, that's the other thing too. It's like, if they're within 15 points, then they can be switched. So like, relax. It's like, okay, well, what are the points? Well, we didn't share those numbers. Those numbers are secret numbers that only we can know because we came up with the point system. So you can't know it. I don't know, dude. It just seems so stupid. Can you guys name one good thing about this system so far, except for the fact that we're looking at, like, I like seeing seeds. I like that. That's exciting because we're going to get to see some wrestling. That's it. None of these weights are correct. 141 is probably the closest one to correct. And that's just because Jesse Mendez beat the shit out of every one of these other people. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you.
Yeah. And the funny thing is like they put together this formula so that it took that human element out of it. Right. But like when you create some fictitious arbitrary formula, it reeks of human element. Like, I would much rather have the rankers do seedings.
Mm-hmm.
The people that have, I mean, give me Earl's seeds any day of the week, because the man can explain why he does the things that he does, how he moves guys around, where they're supposed to be, why they're in those positions, all of those things. Right? We've got too many people in wrestling who've been in the sport for a very long time. Too many of them to utilize some computer software. Sorry. Like, I love I love WrestleStat in the effect of looking up things, getting, my head to heads, getting excuse me, getting my head to heads, getting projections, things like that. Awesome. But seeding of a Big Ten tournament is not one of the things that, you know, I think it should have happened. Because they're really not right. And, Tony Ramos tweeted out, we used that same formula years ago and changed it the next year. Right. So, like, I don't know, who knows? Maybe it's changed since then, but if it was used one year and changed the next, it doesn't seem like it's gotten any better.
I think it can
All
be
right.
a good starting point, but
Certainly.
I think there still needs to be a lot
Common sense
more,
element.
common sense put in and coach input put in, because they're the ones who see this, right? And if we're asking them to do coaches rankings, that has such a large implication on allocations, but we're saying we
Which
can't
are also
trust them
stupid,
to,
by the way.
yeah, we can't trust
Honestly,
them to voice seating concerns.
at this point, simply listing the names is a good starting point. Better than this one. All right. Joey Blaze is 18-0. Mikey Caliendo is 15-3. One of those 3 losses came to Joey Blaze. And yet Caliendo is ranked ahead of Joey Blaze. That's wrong.
And they all beat the same people too. I don't know what formula spits Caliendo out over Blaze, especially with a head-to-head loss like that. Blaze is higher in the coaches rankings, obviously, too. So, like, I don't know. The only thing Caliendo has is RPI, but it's what's Caliendo 3 and Blaze is 8. They're not that far off in the RPI, which shouldn't be a huge factor.
In their ranking, that's only worth 5 points, so it shouldn't have a huge impact on it.
Yes, I don't know how that even spit that out. I don't know how that makes any sense.
It's because it's broken and it doesn't work. It's just stupid. And I'm glad.
It's like that.
What? We're going to get to watch wrestling soon, and that's going to be fun. I just hope that Joey Blaze is within 15 points of Mikey Caliendo so that they can fix this atrocity. I'm sure Mikey Caliendo is like, that's wrong. You got to switch that.
Yeah. He's like, didn't I kind of lose to that guy?
I remember
how
this one.
Above him.
I feel like it's like that guy that's on Twitter that does like the spelling and like pluralization of words. And it's like, no, it's that because it's not. And that's what we're doing. That's where we're at.
AI taking people's jobs, but you know whose jobs are safe? People that seed wrestling, because AI is not good for this shit.
Didn't work.
Certainly it's not. But you need a human element to these things, because as much as you can plug in results and say, okay, here's what the head-to-heads are, here's everything, here's this, here's that. Yes, AI certainly has a place to, it is shorthand, and it certainly has a place, but it shouldn't be the end all be all. Like, somebody has to, like, remember doing your math homework when you were little and they were like, check your work or exchange with a buddy so they can check your work? Get somebody to check your work. That's what we need here. Is somebody to check that work.
Publish it immediately.
Just go to the back and look at the odd numbers and see if you got it correctly.
Exactly. Go to the back of the book. See if you got it right. Most of the time you got it wrong.
Over 30 who understands that.
Yeah. Most of the time you got it wrong. So you just erased it and, then handed it in. But still, just, you gotta get some sort of, there's gotta be some sort of oversight when it comes to these things. Right. And I get it. Be the bad draw, all the cliches that we throw out. I understand. And seeds are for people like us to look at and discuss and say, you got it right, you got it wrong. oh, that's a good matchup. We're looking forward to that. All of those things. Wrestlers aren't worried about seeds, nor should they. But let's at least try to get things right when they're on such a public forum and this many people are paying attention to them.
And
Well,
ultimately, it's not likely to affect the number 1, 2, and 3 seeds. It's affecting down the line, which is the frustrating part, because now we're looking at guys who, what it could have been seated in a position that would have been advantageous for them to get one of those last allocations that they may have earned, right? They earned the allocation for the conference, but now because the seating is so wonky, they're put into a much worse draw, and it makes it more difficult for them to get through. So it's not for the 1 seeds, it's for the impact that it has down the line.
Yeah.
and for anybody who's like, oh, you guys do it then. It's like, yeah, I will. And it would be better than this, which doesn't say a lot, but it's something. I'll write it in crayon and it'll still have more credibility than this crap.
I mean, that did happen when we were talking about refs. What was that, last week?
Yeah.
Somebody decided to comment and say, when are you guys signing up to be referees? I've actually done it.
Yeah, me too.
Yep. Same.
Actually done it. I mean, not at a high level.
Way to go, Austin. You fucked it up. You're the only one who hasn't.
Yeah.
I know the thing about the refs. It was how they were told to score things. That was kind of our argument. We weren't really shit on refs. It was more of, hey, the conferences are kind of scoring it one way versus other conferences. There's no consistency.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, we were bad mouthing the refs just because they're out there, but it's not really their fault, So I'll go to bat for us on that.
Not to derail the seating talk so much, but it's funny how whenever you discuss referees, somebody always resorts to well, why don't you go do it? Or resorts to I'm sure you've signed up to be a ref or things like that. Like, I don't need to, and I responded this way too. Like, I don't need to be a ref to watch wrestling and know that something is wrong. You know what gives me the criteria to say that? The years and years of wrestling experience that I have and that we all have of being on the mat and doing it. Like, you just kind of know that it is not right. So, like, I don't need to have the whistle on my resume. I've got the singlet on my resume.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be at the highest of highs, but like, I've got that, and we all have that. So that's where our opinions are coming from. It comes from the fact that we've done it. We've towed the Resolite, as Shane Sparks would say. So, like, pump your brakes on I'm sure you've signed up to be a ref. No, I actually signed up to be a wrestler. So I think that kind of gives the criteria necessary to comment and say, well, that was a bad call.
I have never coffee ground anyone, though.
No. Head lever, yes.
Coffee grinded, coffee ground.
I have a
don't know
question.
what the verbiage would be there.
Who do you think would win in a wrestling match? Josh Terrell or Ben Keeter? Which do you think should be seated higher?
Yeah.
Probably the Keeter guy.
Probably that Keeter guy. But I mean, what do I know? What do I know? Yeah, it's, man, these aren't good.
The Haynes Minto one is the one that just keeps blowing my mind, though. Like,
which one?
The Minto.
Haynes and Minto.
Like, we watched that match. We watched Haynes win and push Minto off the stage. Like, we had a whole discussion about this. So
we also saw Minto lose to 2 other people as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, you have direct correlation that this guy literally beat this guy, so he should not be seated ahead of him. And he doesn't have any other losses.
I love the explanation that just like at RAF this weekend, the referees went back after the match was over and determined that Levi Haynes should have been disqualified for pushing Minto off the stage, and thus it's now reflected in the seeds.
That's
Dude, the look on Bartlett's face.
What the fuck?
That was so, oh my God.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine.
I think we've beat Big Ten seeds to death. We've kind of gone through just like pick and choose some of the craziest of the crazy and things we don't agree with. Let's move to the ACC. Robbie, how are seeds in the ACC looking?
Non-existent yet. They'll be out. Coaches got pre-seeds, I think, today, and
But you
have
mean
till
they
Wednesday.
check them before they publicize them?
It's wild, right?
That's a weird
They have
concept.
till Wednesday to contest it, and then they'll be released. There's only a couple weights that I think there's going to be any possible.
Have you gotten any sneak peeks or anything?
I have run my picks by a few coaches, and we're all pretty much in agreement. The only weight that has some kind of discrepancy is 165, because it's one of those weights that there was some weird wins and losses. But I can run through my one seeds if you want my one seeds. I've got Ventresca 1 seed at 25, Seidel at 33. 41 is a weird weight. It's going to end up being probably Consiglio as the 1 seed, and then Simcox and Ryan Jack, even though that's kind of a weird weight. Bisgins 49, Cardenas 57. That was really straightforward. Denny 65, the 1 seed straightforward. 74, Augustine's undefeated, so he'll get the 1 seed. 84 will be Chase Kranitz, probably. He's 6-1 and has a win over Bullock, who's 6-2. 97 will be Posada, he's 6-0, and 285 will be Trumple, he's 5-0. So the seeding in the ACC is pretty straightforward. And having 7 teams now, there's only 1 bye, so the 1 seed's going to get the bye. So team scores aren't affected as much as it was with 2 byes, and they're pretty well distributed. It's not just one team that has a whole bunch of 1 seeds this year. So hopefully that won't impact the team score too much. But I'll post what I have for my seating thoughts, so you guys can see those. But it should be pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Austin, you have what? Ivy League seeds are out, but EIWA, the rosters still haven't been submitted. What do you think? I mean, Ivy's should be pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, Ivies, I saw not a whole lot of variance from kind of what I was expecting. There's a few you could probably argue. This guy's a 3. This guy should be 3. How's he a 2? Or vice versa. But nothing that really stuck out to me. I think those are pretty little more. Everyone wrestles each other in the Ivies, which is nice. It's not a huge conference, so there's kind of not as many question marks heading into conferences. EIWAs, I got a glance at pre-seeds today based on who was submitted last week, just to kind of start getting seeds out there. Like you mentioned, we're recording Monday. Final rosters should be in tonight. So we should get pre-seeds tomorrow, on Tuesday, even Wednesday at the latest. From what I saw at the pre-seeds, they all looked pretty straightforward to me. I like this process that we've developed here in the EIWA. Really takes quality wins over just competition outside of the conference, gives you a certain amount of points depending on, if you beat a guy 1 through 8, it's more points than beating a guy that's 20 through 24. Just a higher ranked guy, higher quality win gets you more points. RPI and all that stuff kind of goes into a win percentage. If you earn an allocation for the conference, you get points there. I'm not sure if every conference does that. If not, they should, because that kind of carries a long way. Long story short, yeah, everything I saw looked pretty good for the most part. I think it's important to get seeds for a conference like EIWA as good as you can get them, because it's not the Big Ten. You're not bringing 8-9 guys per weight. It's a lot of it's 2 or 3. Sometimes some weights have 4, but if it's 2 guys a weight class, there is no true second, which is kind of a bummer. But that keeps getting voted that way. So you got to get the top 2 guys seated correctly, or it's going to throw everything out of whack if the top 2 guys are somehow second and third, or not 1 and 2 somehow. So yeah, looking forward to that. Those will come out midweek this week. Should be some good action this week at American University. First time hosting EIWAs as well. They got a brand new facility down there. I'm excited to check it out.
You mentioned allocations, and we didn't really dig much into them as we were talking about pre-seeds, but obviously Big Ten has the most with 87. Big 12 has 63, and these are obviously totals. ACC is 39. The MAC has 27, 26 for the EIWA, 23 for the Ivy, 13 for Pac-12, 10 for the SoCon, and then you'll have your 42 at-large bids that are scattered throughout each one of the weight classes. SoCon, your champion, automatic bid.
That's
Claunch,
it.
what do you make of that? I see the head shake.
Yeah, I don't like it, man. I mean, I'm scrolling through the rankings right now, and I mean, I'm not advocating that every one of the weights has more than one allocation, and you know, there's an opportunity for people to get at-large bids and those sorts of things as well. But it's just tough, you know. These are it's really hard to get a chance, and you know, it's bigger picture is kind of this. So you've got SoCon, you've got one, you have to win the tournament to make it to the NCAA tournament, right? That's the easiest way to make it. Let's say you go out there, you get hurt, something like that, or maybe you're battling with some rib injuries or something like that. You have a bad tournament, and then you're relying on the at-large bids, but then somebody else, from the Big Ten just injury defaulted their way out. Now all of a sudden that person's going to get the at-large bid because they're the Big Ten wrestler. And now you've got to transfer to a bigger school anyway, just to go get some more allocations at a different conference to hope to make it to the NCAA tournament and achieve that goal, right? It just gets really tough for smaller schools to be able to compete long term, and that stinks. And there's a couple weights in where was it? 133, I think, has got TK Davis ranked 16th at 133. 21-1 on the year. You've also got Ethan Uhorchuk from Chattanooga, 15-7 on the year, but he's at least ranked. I mean, like, he's competitive, and that guy's probably not going to make the tournament when he's one of the top 30 guys. 125, you've got your old friend Cooper Flynn, wrestling for Chattanooga, 15-4 on the year right now. He'll probably make the tournament. He's probably going to win it, or win the SoCons, but I don't know. It's just tough. I feel like there's a couple of these weights here where there's a handful of guys.
84's got a couple.
Yeah, Thomas Brooker from App State, solid. But it's just tough. I mean, literally, Diciante was at Chattanooga last year. Now he's at Virginia Tech, and he's, had an up and down season. But
didn't earn an allocation there.
What's that?
Did not earn an allocation there.
He did not. Okay, so.
But
yeah,
right?
it's
he's right on the edge.
The MAC actually got a lot of allocations. I'm happy for them, but same sort of thing. There's a lot of dudes at some of these weights. 184, 157, 133 as well. And once again, they have the second ranked 149 pounder in the country comes from the MAC, Caleb Tyus from SIUE. He'd probably be seated 6 in the Big Ten. Anyway, it is what it is. And it's hard for me to say, yeah, you know what, SoCon, go ahead. Just award the champions. I followed, I'm rocking my Chattanooga hat right now. I followed them with Blood Round a couple years ago. And man, it was wild watching the SoCon finals. I don't remember, I'm blanking on his name. He eventually transferred to Virginia Tech as well. He was a 165 pounder from Chattanooga. He was in the finals wrestling a guy from the Citadel. And the excitement was peak levels. I remember very specifically being at my mom's house, just watching it and kind of freaking out about how, I hope this guy was going to win. And so that part of it's cool and exciting because you're locked in, but man, to have one mistake not go your way and then rely on an at-large bid, it seems tough.
Yeah. And the Pac-12 is kind of right along with them. They have 2 allocations at 1, 2, 3 weights, 25, 49, and 97. So the rest are just sending the champ. So it's just, it's tough for these conferences for sure.
Well, yeah, well, they got Oregon State, Arizona State's in the Big 12 now.
Yeah.
Cal State, Bakersfield, Little Rock.
Yep. It's a 1-day tournament. Hey, my hope is that they don't have any more wrestlers that wrestle the whole season and then find out they have no eligibility when they end up winning the tournament and get to the NCAA level, get to the NCAA championship. So,
it's still wild that happened.
Very, extremely wild. So yeah, seeds, allocations, seeds are pretty wild. Yeah, I don't know. My hope is that they do fix them if it deems that they can, essentially. But like, they're pre-seeds. They're obviously for us to pay attention to and while out over and all those things. So that's what we've done. But I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense in a lot of situations. Last but certainly not least, let's move to RAF. RAF happened over the weekend. Jo ends up beating Bo Bartlett. They had to change things. I mean, we were just talking about NCAA refs being inconsistent, and I think it was Fretwell that tweeted it. This is some real Buto, free Ian Miller type shit. Like I said, I love Jo, but like this is hard. Like this is just another bad refereeing job, right? Especially because the rules were explained. Apparently, they were explained to the wrestlers too. Like they went over all of these things and said that like what rule set they were using and how everything was going to go, and then
Bartlett posted that on his Twitter. He had a document of the rules, and no grounding was one of the rules that they were shown. So he was going by the rules he was given. How else can you defend that? It's crazy.
Yeah.
There's two situations where he got called grounded and Jo didn't get the point, right? So Bartlett's operating under the understanding that they're using the grounded rule and that it's being called because it was called during the match. And then they, at the end of the match, go back and say, well, there should have been points because we're not calling grounded, which was the right call based on the rules. But you can't just go back and be like, hey, we're going to switch this up now because we messed up
if you're
back
RAF.
then. And I mean, that's not a good look at all. Like it's you got to have a rule set and stick with it. If you're going to go with UWW rules, then wrestle by UWW rules, and then not having any way to review or to ask for a review is another weird system, part of the system where,
especially with how big that production is.
Yeah, there's no shortage of cameras, and if they're concerned that they're concerned about time, Bartlett was saying something about they're required to run back to the middle and not waste time. Like there's just some weird shit like that doesn't. I mean, what's that adding to? You have 50-year-old MMA guys wrestling. I don't think we need to be running back to the center to save time. Let's get the rules straight and go from there. But
this is wrestling, Robbie. We assign points wherever and whenever the fuck we want to assign points.
And you can't take off your headgear after the match is over until you are in the car safely on the way home. RAF, outside of the refs, obviously we saw the fight. Just an absolute shit show. Like, now you guys are stepping on Willie. First activity, lateral movement, shuffling of his feet that Willie's had to do since Clinton was president, and now he's got a broken ankle. Like, can we? Like, I make jokes because I've known the man for a very long time, and he would make jokes as well. I know he's going to.
I didn't expect a Clinton presidency reference today. That was not on my bingo card.
Well, he's in the news. He's in the news right now. Why not? But that fight was pretty wild. It really was. It was pretty insane. Like, and it was full on like foreign wrestling fight. I remember being at Urigan and seeing them throw bottles because of they didn't like the call, and they were like hurling these full water bottles that were bouncing all over the mat. Like, absolutely insane. That fight was crazy. And I didn't watch the match live. I watched it afterwards. It was obviously chippy and everything else, but like, you didn't expect that at the end of it. You definitely didn't expect that at the end of it. So very wild, but like, RAF, like, we heard what you said about creating a sustainable league for guys and girls to wrestle in, be paid, and make a living. Yes, I know I said that in two different ways. But even though you're giving wrestlers a chance to go out and compete and make some money and everything else, the flip side of it is, man, you got a lot of influencers on cards. You got, guys that, you might as well pick one of us and throw them out there to be on the card at this point. Like, and then you've got fights like this happening afterwards. And, as I tweeted, our pets' heads are falling off. It was a serious weekend for RAF of like referees not knowing rules, and you have this big ass fight and just not a good look whatsoever. So I want to see them succeed. Obviously, there was a big detractor in Nomad that was like, this isn't going to succeed. This is horrible. This is, you should be spending money elsewhere, this, that, and whatever. And I think that you guys are going down like a pretty slippery slope of having influencers and not having referees that don't know the updated rules that the wrestlers are signing off on, and just like all these things. It's just not a very good look at all. Robbie, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at this card, like top to bottom, there's not really many good matches. Clay Guida versus Muggsy, atrocious. Oliver Bartlett, fantastic matchup. Aljamain Sterling, Benson Henderson, nobody, whatever, not watching that. Valencia, Mahmoud Sebi, no. Kadik Evan Wick, good match. Saul Kazanov, O'Toole, good match. So they're sprinkling in some fantastic matches, but then you have Muggsy and Clay Guida. I mean, it's just
trying to fill airtime.
And your main event is Henry Cejudo and Uriah Faber. Like Cejudo, got the lineage, gold medal, awesome wrestler. Give him a real match, not some an MMA guy who's 12 years or 10 years older than him. Like, I don't know. There's so much for as much good as they're doing, and for as many good things are happening in there. There's still just so many weird things and questionable things that make it not look good or professional. And like this fight, I mean, it got a lot of eyeballs, and it certainly got them some publicity. But is that going to be beneficial in the long run? And then you look at who it's between. It's a UFC guy and an influencer. I mean, not to take away from Giorgio, he wrestled at Cleveland State. He was, a D1 guy, but that's not high. He's not a high level guy versus a high level wrestler. Like it's still got like sideshow feel to it. And then you have a brawl in the middle of it that just adds to it. And it makes it feel more like an MMA thing than wrestling. And that's, I think, not what a lot of wrestling people want.
Yeah. Austin, your thoughts?
Yeah, you're taking MMA guys that are used to all the pre-fight, pre-match antics and, being a character and going out and literally fighting each other in MMA cage.
And to RAF's credit, they're bringing that over with the press conferences and the face-offs and stuff like that. So I think that's great.
Yeah,
they're doing a lot of good things.
Yeah, it's great. But when these guys aren't really wrestlers and, they don't have, put in quote, respect for the sport, what like we do, like, hey, we're wrestlers. This is what we do. They don't have that. So things might go sideways when they start hitting each other and stuff. I mean, I don't know. It just
the instincts are different.
Yeah, it's when they're not born and bred wrestlers. I think it's a different animal. But you get a lot of times it pays off. Sometimes it doesn't. And this is one of those times where it didn't look good. Obviously.
Yeah. Claunch, final word. Bring us home.
I didn't really care about the fight as much. I've seen so many of those Eastern European,
He's a
Russian
Pistons
brawls.
fan. Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it did remind me when I saw one of those dudes just throwing haymakers. It was like flashbacks to Steven Jackson in the stands at the Palace, just knocking dudes out. Steven Jackson's the man. But and now I'm literally looking up Eastern Michigan Wrestling beating up Cleveland State and beating up Poulos. Anyway, I miss Eastern Michigan Wrestling.
Shout out Dave Bolliard.
R.I.P.
Exactly. Zach Carson beat up George Poulos 7-5. I bet he took him down. Anyway, what else was I going to say? RAF. Oh yeah. Honestly, like the fight didn't bother me so much. The worst thing about like what was more egregious in the fight was David Carr versus Bubba Jenkins. Dude, Bubba Jenkins hasn't wrestled a competitive match in over 15 years, dude. Like, what are we doing?
Well, he wrestled Bo Bassett, didn't he?
Right.
Yeah, again, not a competitive match.
Not a competitive match, I agree.
I maintain my first point. It's just, why are we doing this? Like, Bubba Jenkins, and hey, you are cemented in history, man. You were an NCAA champion, and I was there watching it happen, and it was wild when it happened. It was cool, and I'm
awesome.
very happy for you. And competing in wrestling matches is not what we need to watch anymore. You know, maybe against Uriah Faber or somebody like that, but not against the dude who's legitimately one of the best 5 guys on the planet. Like right now, I think it's probably safe to say David Carr is one of those guys as far as like at his weight class. So I don't know, man. I think it's just, like fights are going to happen in any sport. It is what it is, you know. You don't want to make a habit of it, right? But that's just a thing that can happen. I think the issue is we got to have better, more competitive matches. We got to have better, and again, I'd rather you do every other month have an event, as long as the matches are going to make sense and it's going to be worth watching. But let's also consider that I don't even think we talked about this on the podcast, but like they did get some there's some connection with Amazon Prime now, and there's some connection with so they're going to be streaming these on other services, I would think, which is a huge win for RAF, right? Like that should be celebrated, and a huge win for wrestling. Yeah. I don't think the fight's going to take anything away from that, but man, we got to get better matches. Just
unless it's Tyson Jake Paul, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Which I won't be surprised if they do get the Paul brothers. There's your tag team, Robbie.
There's your tag team, yeah.
Oh, fucking god damn it!
Comes right back. No, I said,
they do have some good matchups coming up though. Like their next card, Dake Kekheisen, that'll be fantastic.
Well,
Bo Bassett, Kinkishvili. I mean, that's actually a good match for Bassett.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Snyder,
there are times where they do hit the old school versus new school, and they do it pretty well.
Yeah, and this one has like high level international matches. It's got Tazinov and Snyder. Like that's fantastic. But then you have Pat Downey and Trent Hidley. Like I don't want to see Trent destroy. I mean, I do, but that's
I would love to see that.
Let's stick to the good matches. Hendricks and Hilger, that'll be great. A mustache versus fantastic hair. Like that's a win. But this card here has fantastic matches. I don't want them to fill in the rest of the card with
Muggsy versus
49-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
that guy matches.
Maybe that's the problem. One every month is too many. Maybe like I forget who said it here. Go every other month and make it more quality than quantity. I think.
Mm-hmm.
It came up on my feed the other day. One of the hip hop artists said, you can't put not every hit could be a banger. You got to put some in your album to kind of not lull them to sleep, but you can't put every hit can't be a banger. It was Dr. Dre or Eminem, one of those guys, but it's like that. You can't have every single match in the lineup be great. You got to have some thrown in there. I get it, but don't do them as often and make every match a banger, which would be
Yeah,
better,
you don't
better.
have to have as much filler if you're not doing it every month.
And
Like,
maybe it'll
get rid of
slow
some of
down.
the waste matches and keep the high level matches, and
A
then
lot of
you're gonna
money
have
to do
more
it every
viewers
month, too.
anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, maybe it slows down too. Like maybe this first year they just want to saturate the market. Like bang, like here's all your wrestling over and over and over, and we'll taper as we go on. So I don't know. I'm hopeful that RAF becomes a success. I'm hopeful that they have some sustainability in what they do, and that they have better matchups. Right? Like we want to see David Carr wrestling somebody on his level. We want to see things like that. So hopefully we get that in the future. But as of now, we're left commenting on terrible refereeing and changing the results of matches after they happen and fights and God knows whatever else is going to be happening at RAF. But we get conference weekend this weekend. Sure, everybody's going to be glued to Big Tens. Switch over to Big 12s. ACCs will also be there. If you're lucky enough like me, you've got YouTube TV, which has all those channels. So you'll be able to flip back and forth or whatever else it is and watch the finals. I can remember a couple of years ago trying to like time it up and watch one match and then go back and watch another. And Cody Chittum decided that he was going to continue to take bottom and get written out. And they're going to go back and forth. And it was such a long fucking overtime. It was ridiculous. And he ended up missing matches. So, but nonetheless, we've got a very good weekend of wrestling. We've got conferences. So make sure everybody is tuning in, not just for the Big Ten, but check out the SoCon results, check out the MAC results, any other results from any other conference besides Big 10 and Big 12. And obviously, ACC is doing very well, but they're still one of the bigger conferences. They get a lot of the shine as well. But I hope that everybody enjoys this weekend of wrestling. I can't believe that we are already at the postseason. I think the only thing we didn't discuss tonight is Iowa's lineup, and mostly because it's still a head scratcher, and we'll discuss some of the other transfer things that happen maybe in between or whatever else. But I mean, I'm sure by now everybody's seen Victor Voinovich will be wrestling. What is that, 57? And then Gabe Arnold will be a 97 for the postseason.
And Ben Keeter's the 10 seed.
And Ben Cedars the 10 seed. Yeah. I think, and maybe it's wishful thinking, but I hope that like Gabe Arnold looks for a place where he can truly be himself and be in the weight class he wants to be in. Because right now, like he's a spot filler, and I feel like somebody of his caliber shouldn't be. I feel like he's very good and deserves a starting spot in somebody's lineup. So who knows? Maybe we'll see him in one of those red singlets. I don't have any intel. Maybe it's me just thinking that he heads off to Nebraska or something like that. Stays in the Big Ten, but goes to like Nebraska or maybe goes
stays
to like
in state and goes to another school.
What's that?
Or stays in state and goes to another school.
Yeah, we've seen that before. So we'll see.
Pleasant, Michigan's nice too.
So Keeter's a 10 seed and ranked 8 in the country. That's the takeaway.
Yeah, that's how that works. But yeah, conference weekend. It's going to be amazing. Make sure you guys are tuning in to all the different conferences to see what kind of action is going down with the SoCon, the ACC, the Big 12, the MAC. Get into any type of wrestling that you truly can. And
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
You've got
the
plenty of
EIWA
days.
is the first one to kick off, 10 a.m. Saturday. Friday, 10 a.m.
Plenty of days of it. Run those errands in the morning. Get everything done that your wife or girlfriend wants you to get done so that you can sit and watch some wrestling and enjoy the end of the season. But we appreciate you guys listening and watching the Quad Pod, sponsored by Poseidon Strength. We will have a shoe giveaway coming. We have to talk amongst us ourselves and figure out, do we want to do it for conferences or do we want to do it for NCAA championship? So we'll figure that out. We'll put that out on Twitter. Make sure you guys are following us, Quad Pod Wrestle on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram as well. You can get to us there too. But we'll have that out. We'll put out all the guidelines and things like that again so that you guys can win a free pair of shoes. But
there will be a point system involved.
There will be a
it
point
will be
system
complicated.
Involved. And if we don't like your pick, we don't care if the pick is right. We assign the points. It's just how it works. But no, we'll have some fun with it. We'll put those out this week so you guys can enter. I think there's some different pick'ems and things that we can probably collaborate with to get that done. So stay tuned to that, but we appreciate it, and we'll see you guys again next week. Peace.